Tell me I'm not good enough. Don't you bring me down. I'm moving up, and you're over now. You gave me fire every time you came around. My feet are steady on the ground.
Hello everyone, I'm Glenn and welcome to The Way Back. This is mine and Steph's YouTube channel that offers insight and inspiration to help you reclaim your life from addiction and, all being well, find your way back. This is Steph.
Hi friends, I'm Steph. Along with the YouTube channel, Glenn and I also share a sobriety date. It is the 17th of October 2016. We support each other and we keep each other accountable. And our hope is that with these interviews and video blogs on our channel, we can help you along your sobriety journey as well. So thank you for joining us. Today we are pleased to introduce you to our friend Jeff, and he's going to tell us a bit about his journey to sobriety. But actually, Jeff, if you don't mind going back, let's start where it all began for you. When did you realize you had a problem with alcohol, and tell us about your journey?
Okay. So when did I first realize I had a problem? Well, I mean, all through my, I guess I really started drinking in college. You know, it was kind of normal behavior, I thought then. But that's all we did was drink and smoke marijuana. That was like our main goal every single day. But I went on. I worked as a chef for many years. Drinking was very common, very normal in that kind of situation. Also, we actually kind of prided ourselves about how much alcohol we could put back. But really, I noticed a problem. Really, when I became in charge of my own kitchen, and my drinking started to get in the way of my performance at work. I got scolded at a few times for being drunk. I started, the people that were working under me were losing respect for me.
So you were drunk on the job.
Sort of thing, yeah. So I didn't really quite, I mean, it wasn't like a health thing at first. It was like, okay, my drinking's getting away with my job and my livelihood at first. So that's kind of how it first started to show its rear its ugly head.
And how old were you at this time?
So that was about 10 years ago, maybe 25 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. 25, about that age.
So how old were you when you started drinking?
What's that?
So when you started drinking, how old were you at that time?
I had my first drink probably I was like 16 years old, but throughout high school I was always, I always kind of knew drinking was like I always looked at weed as like the lesser of the two evils. So I would smoke marijuana, and I would try to avoid alcohol until I got to college. That's when my drinking, picked up. I've done some stupid things in college, but I didn't let that bother me internally. We just we tell a story the next day. Oh, it was so stupid. I did this stupid thing, and you kind of laugh about it. Like one time in college, I look back at it now and I can't believe it. I found one of those spray cans of paint that you paint parking lines with. When I was drunk. Well, I was drunk on gin. I drank way too much gin. We were playing some game at my friend's dorm, and on the way home, I found this spray can, and I tagged up the entire school with the paint. Drunk. So, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I didn't tell anybody that I actually did it because I was worried about getting expelled from school. But, so that would probably be my earliest,
oh shit moment.
Yeah. But really, I went on, when I was 25, that's when I started to really become like a daily hard alcohol drinker.
Wow.
Where it would be, I get up in the morning and have a drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So what were you drinking, Jeff?
Anything really I can get my hands on, really. When you run your own kitchen, you're the first one to get in there. There's usually a full open bar there that you can kind of nip-nap at, Take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that. No one will ever know, when you get your day started. There was a liquor store right next to the restaurant, and I would always make sure I had a pint of vodka with me. and I would keep that in the walk-in freezer at the restaurant. And
So sorry, Jeff, did it jump from sort of when you were at college to just sort of college drinking, as it were, I guess, which was beers and stuff, to the
binge drinking?
Well, I was a heavy drinker all through that. I mean, I always drank a lot, but it wasn't daily. Maybe I would take like 3 or 4 days off before that. But when I was 25, that's when it was like, okay, every day.
So it was every day, and it was sort of in the morning. It was any time, basically.
Anytime. Yeah, well, the work was intense. We worked like 80 hours a week sometimes, 60 to 80 hours a week. And so it was just a whirlwind of drinking and working, So, I got there 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I worked all the way till midnight, and then I did it over and over and over again. And when you're
we just topping up throughout the day.
Working, drinking, and working. That was the life. That was what we did. So
wow.
And a lot of us did that. A lot of us did that.
I was in the restaurant business for many years, Jeff, and I can totally relate to that. It's a very intense business. Whether you're waiting tables, bartending, working in the kitchen, it's a very intense environment. And as I've said before in these interviews about surrounding ourselves by like drinkers in the restaurant business, very few people don't drink. These are typically hardcore drinkers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it started with the vodka because my boss ahead of me was a big, was doing that a lot, and I kind of learned that behavior from him because he started keeping the vodka in the walk-in freezer. And then I would start drinking out of his bottle, and then I would buy a bottle to replace his bottle, and then he always had me go on runs for him to buy more liquor. It was just crazy.
I love the fact that all three of us are smiling about it, because that's nice. That it's not that serious anymore. It was at the time, but you kind of.
Well, when I was doing it, it was like, oh, this is fun. I get to drink and work. This is great. I'm making money. I was making good money, and I'm having fun doing it. I thought, I kind of liked that crazy life.
Were you hitting it at home as well, Jeff, when you got there, or was that enough throughout the day?
I'm sorry.
When you got home from work, were you drinking as well? Or
I kept drinking, because usually I had roommates, and they were all in the business, so we always had liquor at home. I smoke weed at home. I get home, I smoke weed, and then I fall asleep and wake up again.
So the weed was constant. As when the alcohol got worse, did you smoke more pot?
Get work, but just drinking to kind of get through the day, and then smoking weed at night, kind of thing, or in the morning before I go in. Sometimes, it was just nonstop intake of substances, that pretty much, and then it did, go out to different drugs, kind of whatever was available. There was some cocaine usage, and there was, whatever, mushrooms. And
so can I just ask a quick question? What made you sort of progress to sort of different drugs? Was it just that wanting feeling still?
Well, it wasn't really like, I just was kind of like, I didn't really care. I would just do whatever was available. I just always wanted to feel something, I guess. Like someone would come by, oh, I got these, this was before we knew those Oxycontins were terrible. I got these oxy pills. You take a pill, you feel good. Like, okay. Took one, I felt like, that was the most intense thing I ever felt. Like my eyes were rolling the back of my head, and could barely keep myself straight at work, so I kind of knew I had an addictive personality, so I didn't continue to seek that kind of drug. I was like, I'll just stick to the alcohol and the weed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Luckily, I did that because I've seen some serious. Alcohol can ruin lives, but that stuff ruined lives too. Like you wouldn't believe. Just unbelievable. So, yeah, I'm glad I stayed away from it. I'm glad, like, I had other opportunities too that it would have been in my hands and available. Same thing with cocaine, where I just kind of made sure I stayed with the alcohol and the weed. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I did that in retrospect, even though I still needed to like really go out of control with alcohol to be fully sober now, which I'm more than happy that I am. But
So was that that was age 25, was it, when it started?
Yeah, 25, 26, 27, that's all the same kind of stuff, 28, all that lifestyle, yeah.
And
you know, gaining a lot of weight.
yeah.
You know,
when you
big when I stopped, so, you know.
yeah. So when you were in that time period, were you fully aware you had a problem, or was it like, I don't care?
Yeah, you know what? After a while, I did know, because I said there was issues started to arise with when I, you know, like, I was embarrassed by a few things that I did, and I knew from seeing other people, you know, my boss in particular, you know, had alcohol, and he had the Oxycontin heroin problem, and he ended up robbing a bank and was thrown in prison for 5 years. And I took over his position in the job in the kitchen. That's when I became in charge. So I knew that this stuff wasn't going to be there wasn't a good path for me if I kept doing it. You know, I knew that. But you know, there was a point that I knew I had a problem, and I just kind of needed it to get by, and I knew that for years, years. And I wasn't ready to quit, though. In my own head, I wasn't ready to face the music. You know.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to the doctors or anything. I wasn't going to the dentist. I didn't do any of that. You know, I didn't know. I just stuck with my work, and I drank my alcohol, and I knew that it had a bad it wasn't going to end well. So, but I kept doing it. I don't know. That's the insanity of it. You know? So,
Jeff, your story is quite similar to mine, as we've talked about before.
right.
Not only the progression, the drug use, and obviously as well the you know, the work that we did that kind of fueled that behavior,
Right.
but also the progression of the alcoholism and the amount of drinking and the amount of alcohol you were drinking. Tell us about that towards the end when you were drinking my favorite, vodka.
Yeah, well, you know, I was drinking vodka. I guess I didn't quite realize it, but I was drinking like a fifth of vodka all the way back when I was 20, you know, when I first started, because I would get a pint in the morning and then a pint in the evening, and I'd finish it all. And then it actually took me till about 30 when I actually started measuring my alcohol and seeing what it was actually drinking, that 2 pints actually equals a fifth of vodka. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that I was actually drinking you know, in my own mind, you know, I thought that was just 2 drinks, you know. So you know, you know, it was a fifth of vodka. You know, that was prolonged throughout, you know, 15 hours, but, you know, I drank that much throughout the day. You know, really,
Was this enjoyable drinking? I think.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I did. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't like it.
But was it sort of straight out of the bottle, down your neck, or was it into glasses and, you know?
No, straight out of the bottle. You know,
Right.
Not all the crap. You know, I don't want any extra.
The middleman.
You know, yeah, I'm not going to sit there and mix a drink to drink it. You know?
No.
I wasn't going to do
My
that.
kind of guy.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to make this going to taste. No, none of that. No. No, I just kind of sucked it down, whatever it was, you know. It was the same thing with food and everything else. Just give it to me. Just put it in my head, you know, just put it in there. So that was it. So, you know, but that was kind of learned behavior from the people I saw before me too. That's the only way we did it. You know, when we drank together as a group, it was just pass the bottle around. You know, it'd be like, here's a big bottle. We're just gonna take a sip. That was it. You know,
Now,
it was never.
When you say the people around you, do you mean like growing up, your family, or do you talking about the people you drank with?
No, this is my coworkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, like in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, again,
Yeah,
back to what I was saying, if we surround ourselves with like drinkers, and then we don't have to look at our own behavior if we're passing a bottle around, and that's normal behavior.
Right. Yeah, it was normal between us, our
Yeah.
little group that we had. Yeah. And you know, like I said, people started dropping like flies. You know, issues out of, you know, there were like the 4 of us that were really nuts then, and all of us are in some sort of recovery now, which is amazing, because we all kind of hit our rock bottom, living like that, and now, yeah, we've all went into some type of recovery, or you know, we seeked help, or we were forced to seek help, whatever it may be, which is amazing that we all kind of survived that, you know.
Well, we want to get to
More-
that next, obviously. So tell us about, you mentioned rock bottom. What was your rock bottom?
Well, so, I was living like that, and then I got married. So that was sharing my life with somebody. Um, Obviously, I was never quite honest with her, the amount of alcohol that I was consuming then, and then I tried to stop. What happened was, okay, so my wife's a teacher, so I stopped working in restaurants, and in my head, and I moved. So in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe if I get married, I move to a new place, because I knew I kind of needed a change. I knew it was not ending well, and I was ready to get out of the kitchen. I was ready to stop doing that work. Kind of was ready to start enjoying my time outside of the hot kitchen for a while. So I was lucky enough. So I got engaged, and my dad has a business. I was lucky enough to start working with him, and I worked from home. So, and then I moved from New Jersey to Connecticut. We got a condo together, and I started living with my wife. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll drink less. I wasn't ready to stop. But it's like maybe like the first week I got in trouble with her for drinking, kind of sneaking it right away. You know what I mean? I just drank a lot, and I thought, oh, I don't know why she was giving me a problem about it, but she noticed the problem right away, So, I kept trying to hide it, and for years, I think 2 or 3 years, I was avoiding her knowing how much I drank. She went to work, she did her job, and I was home alone. I'd get my vodka, I'd spend the money on the vodka, and I would feel guilty about it. I felt guilty about it all through that time.
Now, was she a drinker, or is she a drinker?
No, she actually, it's funny, she barely drinks. I think she drinks like, when she says she's going out drinking, she'll probably drink like a drink and a half, Like she'll go to a bar and drink a drink and a half, and I don't know how she does it. Enjoy herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she never really was someone that did that. And I married her because she was the nicest person I've ever met, like, in my entire life. I knew that, I knew I found something good, So yeah, she wasn't much of a drinker. So when we did drink together, she would have her like half a glass of wine, and if I sat there with my pint of vodka, that didn't really look right, So I'd have to have a half a glass of wine with her, and then have my pint of vodka in the basement to keep things out from me, So, which all that sneaking, hiding bottles, and living like you're trying to always kind of cover your steps, and where do they what do they do last night? What did I say to her last night? Why was I mean to her last night? Waking up miserable, like waking up in the middle of the night. How sometimes when you're drunk and you wake up, you pass out and you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, and you're splashing water on your, and look, you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, what's going on? And then I was trying to stop, but I couldn't. But I was actively trying to stop probably from age 30 on, or maybe 29 on, and I'm a year and a half sober now. So it took maybe 3.5, 4 years actively trying to stop to actually stop.
So just on that, Jeff, excuse me, how did that process start? Did you try to do it all on your own in the beginning?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, let me tell you about that. So I knew it was an issue. So at first I would try to like promise myself, I'm only going to drink X amount of liquor. The reason I was buying pints is because, I thought that's all I'd drink today, or I would go down to a half pint, the smaller ones. Oh, that's all I'll drink, starting at like 11 a.m. Right. So, this is all I have, but it never was that, I would start the day with like a half pint or a pint, and I end up finishing it like 3 or 4 hours later, and then kind of wait, and then feel the alcohol going away. And then like my wife's like calls, oh, I'm coming home soon. I'm like, well, I might as well get a pint before she gets home, get another one, because it's crazy thinking. I'm not stopping today. I already drank, and then drink. So I knew there was an issue, And then every morning I'd wake up and try to promise myself I wouldn't drink. But I don't know. And then my car would end up in front of the liquor store, or I would just end up in a liquor store. I don't, it's like somebody just pushed me in there and made me take my money out and buy. It was like I was a zombie, So years and years, and 3 years went by. I was getting more and more in trouble with my wife. She'd find me passed out on the couch, she'd find me doing this, find me doing that. Really, when it all came to a head was, I was completely miserable. I would cry at night. I don't even know why I was crying. Just crying to my wife, complaining about everything else, but my addiction. One day, my wife came downstairs and I finished all that vodka I had in the house, and I started to open up all the wine bottles that were in the house. And she found me asleep on the couch with an empty wine bottle in my hand, passed out. She's grilling me. She's like, "You're drunk." She's like, the next day, she let me go to bed. The next day, she's getting ready for work. She's like, "I don't care what you do today, except that I think you should go find somebody and talk to them about your drink. Just call a professional, just do something, because it's clear that there's something wrong here." So I called a therapist up, and I started to go to see a therapist, and his first suggestion is, "Oh, go to AA meetings. You can keep coming here, but I think you should go to AA meetings." I didn't really take his advice right away. Like, weeks went by. Then this is when I officially stopped. So my last drink was, I think I finished 3 pints in a day of just drinking, and I fall asleep and I wake up, and I was already seeing a doctor, and they got my blood work, and they're like, "Oh, it's wildly out of control, there's cholesterol and all this stuff." I'm 35 years old. They're like, "What's wrong? What are you doing?" So I had to go to a follow-up to my doctor for a cholesterol, and I wake up 8:30 in the morning. I forgot about it, and I'm extremely hungover, and I had to get to the hospital at the doctor at 9. I get my car didn't start, so I was close enough for me to walk. I walked a mile to the doctor. I get in there and I'm sweating. I'm 275. I'm heavy, 275 pounds. It's 30 pounds heavier than I am now. They look at me. They're like, "Oh, you're late for your appointment." I'm like, "Oh, I thought it was 9." They're like, "No." Well, they're like, "I thought it was 9:30." They're like, "No, it was 9." And I'm like, "I could reschedule," because I knew I was a mess, And they looked at me and they're like, "You're not going to reschedule. You're going to see the doctor right now." So, they got me in there, and I'm sitting on the table, just pouring sweat. I'm like, "Oh, gosh, I gotta talk to a doctor like this." The nurse takes my blood pressure. It's through the roof. Then they're like, "Oh, geez," you can see they're nervous in their eyes. And finally, the doctor comes in. They're like, "What is going on?" I can tell something's not right. And I finally just spilled the beans to the doctor. I'm like, "I got a serious drinking problem. I can't stop. I finished 3 pints of vodka yesterday. I'm extremely hungover right now. I'm miserable. I'm a miserable, miserable person. I can't handle it." So they look at me. They're like, "All right, well," and she suggests AA too. So finally, now I got a therapist and the doctor tell me, you need to at least go find some people that have been through what you've been through, kind of what they're saying. Meantime, I was on the Onwards and Upwards group for a year and a half before trying to talk to people and get to know people that are going through what I'm going through. But it didn't quite click until I finally, 3 days after that meeting, I didn't drink. I looked up an AA meeting. I went and scoped out where it was, so I knew where to go. 7 o'clock in the morning meeting. I didn't actually tell my wife I was going to it at first. She would go off to work, and I'd run out of the house and go to this AA meeting, the first time. So I went, and I walked in the door. It's filled with people, and I couldn't believe it. There must have been 30 people there, men and women, all different types, 7 in the morning. Blue collar, white collar, all kinds of people. It was a good mix of people, I just sat in there, and like I went late and I sat in there, it was quiet, I listened. I didn't quite sure what was going on. That's all that stuff's really foreign to you when you go to it. But when I was leaving, someone said, "Hey, what's your name?" He's like, "My name's so and so." He's like, "You should come back tomorrow." I'm like, "Okay, I'll come back tomorrow." So I go back the next day. It's a little bit. There's less people there. Maybe there's like 15 people there. And so I really liked it because I honestly felt like I went into a room where no matter what I did or what I was going through, these guys kind of understood what was happening to me. One of the things I always love people say, and this really rang true for me, is like I walked into an AA meeting and I didn't know what was going on, but everybody knew what was going on with me. They all knew exactly what was going on with me. So, and they were all ready to help. So it was like you almost had a community of people just ready to just do whatever they can to help you not drink, which was to me was huge. Huge. So I just kept going to meetings and I didn't drink. That was it. Glenn, it makes me think of you because I know you started going to AA meetings. Your first stint, we were right on, we would have the same sobriety date if you didn't fall off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, "Oh, you're going to AA meetings. This is great." So I was like, Glenn, I don't want to know because he's going too. So, and you need to stop drinking. And so I just kept going and I just did what they told me to do. Yeah.
Did you have a plan to do like the 90 meetings in 90 days, or did you?
No, it's great because this group wasn't even. They didn't press you to do anything.
Yeah.
Just show up. It was this one meeting. You go to another meeting across town, they'd be really strict. I recommend you do 90 days. But this meeting was very. Just show up and don't drink. Or just come. Just come. I don't care if you drink. Come anyway. That's kind of what they're the way they were. So they were very friendly, soft kind of group. And I've seen the other groups where they're very militant.
Yeah.
It kind of, so I was lucky enough to find one that was friendly. So I didn't do the 90-90, but I did keep going as much as I could. Yeah. And, I was sharing in the meetings, and I made a lot of friends. Go and have coffee afterwards. And, I eventually got, and then so I was seeing my therapist too in all the meantime. So he was like Thanksgiving was coming up, So my sobriety date's October 16, 2015. So, this was right before Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, Thanksgiving's coming up, I got to go see all my family and I got to not drink, because they're all going to notice it. Everybody almost always notices when you're not drinking, right? So my therapist said, get a sponsor before you go. So you have someone to talk to, which was brilliant because, so the next day I went to an AA meeting. I got my the first person I talked to, I'm like, "Do you want to be my sponsor?" They're like, "Oh yeah, great." I'm like, "Cool." So he's like, and he's the one that got militant on me. He's like, "You call me every day." Like, every day you call me, and you do this and that and whatever. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that I'd be involved in that," but that's what I did that. So I was like, "All right, I still don't want to drink, and that's fine. I'll just do whatever it takes to not drink." So. I got through Thanksgiving. I went down to Portsmouth, Virginia, and my brother's house down there. And my whole family was there. My cousin noticed I wasn't drinking. She had the gall to be like, "What's going on? You're not drinking. What's happened?" And I'm just like, those are personal questions. I don't feel like answering them right now. Like in front of everybody too. Like at the table. So.
And your family, they're big drinkers, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was funny because my parents never really drank when I was growing up, but now they drink a lot.
Mm-hmm. My parents are that way too.
It's like scary, It's almost like they have the bug too, but they didn't really turn it on until like I left for college. Unless they were doing it and I wasn't seeing it, but now they drink. My parents drink like a lot, and it concerns me, But it's what it is. So.
Mm.
Do you
still go to
really
meetings
it was AA that made me stop. That really was the support group that I needed for me.
And do you still go to meetings?
Yeah, I do. I haven't been to too many since my son was born, but I
Busy
do go
time.
to meetings. Right, yeah, when I can. But I'm extremely busy now.
So how often would you say you go? What, weekly?
Well, I've been to 3 meetings since he was born. He's been alive for 7 weeks now.
Okay.
So, but I would typically go maybe 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
When I can, if it's available, I go. If it works out in my schedule, I go. But when I first started, it was almost every day. Yeah, almost every single day.
It needs to be though, doesn't it, Jeff? It has to be like that. I don't.
What's that?
You have to go every day at the beginning, don't you?
Well, that's the thing. Like, the obsession to drink was so strong. I still feel it now. I was having it, recently. Like just yesterday, I was having the urge to drink. I'm over a year and a half sober, and I'm still like, I like the idea of it,
Yeah.
So, but I just have to remind myself where I came from, what I went through, and like how miserable I was before I had to stop,
So do you you'll still have a sponsor, I'm guessing, won't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So to give sort of our viewers who don't know a lot about AA, when you have these witching hours, like you said you had yesterday, is that something you discuss with your sponsor?
Yeah, or you go to a meeting and you even discuss it, You go to a meeting, I'm like, I'm here today because I wanted to drink yesterday and I had this urge to do it, and you just say it, in AA they make, they encourage you to say, hello, my name's Jeff and I'm an alcoholic, which I have no problem doing that because, whatever way you want to look at it, it's the whole reason I think they do that is because they want you to remember why you ever walked in there in the first place. You know what I mean? And why you're here and why you keep coming is because at one point in your life you were drinking so much alcohol that your life was out of control. That's what they say. We're going to come to admit that our lives were out of control and our lives were unmanageable, and that's why I'm an alcoholic. And if I start drinking again, chances are I'll just go right back to where I was. Yeah. So
I think you have to become clear about that. I mean, whether you go to AA or not, I think you have to reach a point where you realize you cannot go back to that. That is not an option. We've talked about that. Glenn and I have talked about this a lot. And he calls it the moment when the penny drops, or you just realize that is never an option again. What will happen?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice that they keep reminding you of that. Because you'll see it firsthand if it's when you go and you're interacting with actual people. They're not your actual people, but it's like you see them face to face, and when they go out and they disappear, everybody notices. They're not showing up to meetings all of a sudden. You see them in town, they're like avoiding you. And they come back and they're like, they'll say it. They're like, I went back all the way. Like I've had. Some of them be like, I had 30 years of sobriety and I drank again, and then went back to where I was 30 years ago, to the same amount of alcohol, to the same kind of BS I was doing, the same lying to all my loved ones and hiding things, and all that stuff, that baggage I brought along with me when I was drinking. I went back and did that again, and it's just it's good to be reminded of that, and it's good to remember that. Like when you have that. The I want to drink now. I want to feel that feeling now kind of urge, but you have to remember that where that brought you and what that put you through and all that misery that you were living, so.
Do you sponsor people? Are you a sponsor?
Well, the AA has the thing where they want you to finish the 12 steps before you sponsor somebody.
Okay, that was my next question was about the
very slowly going
steps.
through the steps. Yeah,
Okay.
So I'm on step 6 right now. I'm very slowly going through it. Some people go right through them all,
Yeah, that was my next question was about the steps and if it's something that you work. I mean, I was in AA for 3 years, so I'm familiar with it. But is it something that you work continuously, or once you've done the 12 steps, you've done them? So how?
Some people, I guess it's up to personal preference. Some people say that some people constantly go through the 12 steps and never stop. They get to step 12, they go back to step 1. They study them and go through them all the time. Some people finish the 12 steps and then revisit some of them.
Like the 4th step.
Like the 4th step. Or like reevaluating yourself as like a person, like if your I guess your character defects, and your shortcomings as a human being, and just making note of them, and not, um, and or like I think was step 11 where it's anytime you do something wrong to somebody, you should promptly admit it and uh, you know apologize for it, or point it out. Every time I'm grumpy, I do it all the time with my wife now. It's like every time I'm grumpy or not feeling good, or I mean to her, God forbid, like I ever do that. I tell her right away. I'm like, sorry, like I didn't mean to do that. It's like I really hadn't intend to do that, and I'm in the wrong. Like I do that. Right away. I keep myself in check now. Like before, when I was drinking, it was like, oh, I'm not doing that, and it's so and so's fault. It's like, or it's this, it's that. It's not nothing to do with me. so,
Well, it sounds like the 12 steps and the whole program kind of forces a self-reflection and you're forced to look at
yourself,
your behavior and evaluate.
Sure. It's more. We've said before, it's more than just not drinking. It's kind of like a roadmap for living. It's if you could follow the steps, you'd live a happy life. I think anybody would if they followed the principles that they're trying to teach in AA, which is, just recognize like who you are. Don't feel bad about what you've done. It's apologize to people that you've wronged.
Including
don't
yourself.
live a life of, don't lie to people. It's like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you don't have. That's the amazing thing. I never thought of it before. It's like if you don't lie, you don't have to hide anything. You're not hiding anything. You're not looking over your shoulder. It's exhausting, to do that.
Yeah.
So,
So Jeff, did I hope you don't mind me asking, but did the weed disappear with the alcohol, or is it two different things completely?
Oh yeah, I dropped 30 pounds right when I stopped drinking.
No, sorry, the weed, the pot.
Sorry.
That would have caused more eating.
I'm sorry. Can you?
Sorry, when you were like from 25 to 30, you were drinking, but you also had the smoke in the pot.
Yes.
Did you try to quit everything?
That went when I got married.
Right.
My wife didn't like it, and I drank more to compensate.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and I had a lot of resentment too about it.
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of resentments that I was holding on to. I didn't like the fact that I moved from New Jersey to Connecticut. I didn't. I used to live by the ocean my whole life, and then I was living in some New England mountain town. I didn't like that.
Suit me.
I was smoking weed on my own, and now my wife is saying you can't do that. I'm like, I didn't quite, when I got married, I didn't quite realize what marriage actually meant, to be honest with you. And now I have to share my life with somebody. I got married first and then figuring out what marriage was later. But thank God I figured it out,
So when you're, this is just from my purpose now. So you get to 12 months sober, you're substance free from the weed as well. Did you start, or do you still have that black hole void that people talk about, where, as you said earlier, we have addictive personalities, don't we? How do you deal with that?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because I know, from what you were discussing before on the page, there was a time in the first year where I picked up e-cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for years ago, but I quit smoking first, probably around age 25, before I really got great. I haven't smoked in 10 years or so, and here I go to the store and pick up an e-cigarette, And the reason I got the e-cigarette is so I can hide it from my wife. All the same old things. Yeah. And I can get my fix, a little bit of a fix of a head rush, and I did it. I did it for a while, and I was sneaking that around. I wasn't drinking, but I was sucking on these e-cigarettes, behind closed doors. You can do it. It doesn't really smell the room up or anything like that. And that was so I was trying to fill the void that way with the substance, and then it got to the point where I was really hammering those things down pretty fast, and
So sorry, when was this? When was this in
What's
your
that?
when was this in your sobriety?
within the first year. So I have been off e-cigarettes for I think like 310 days now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it was early
Yeah,
on.
yeah. This is like like halfway through my year and a half of sobriety.
Okay.
I actually went home from the therapist. I was walked home from the therapist, and I picked one up, and I started doing it. And I did it for like 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
5 months, and then I finally just was like, I had enough of this. Like I you go into AA, and I just knew that I was lying to my wife about it, and that I was not following. Like I wasn't living the way the roadmap they laid out, the steps, and I was feeling guilty, and I knew it, So, and I wasn't feeling good. I was feeling sick, and I just didn't want to do that either. So yeah, I had a void, and I was trying to fill it with cigarettes. Absolutely.
Is that void closed now? Would you say, or does it still open up?
No, actually, I would say that my obsession for substances is gone. Or it's very small. Because I said yesterday, I had a craving yesterday. I did, I actually played around with the idea of drinking yesterday. So it's still there. There's still a little voice in the back of my head. But it's not nearly as severe as it used to be. No way is it as like, because the way it was early on was like, I really want to drink, Felt awful. But now I'm a very happy person. I'm in such a good place in my life.
I've got a question for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
So obviously, I know quite a lot about AA from my first time round, so I understand perfectly how it works, and it really helped me first time round massively because that's how I got sober.
Right.
Now, second time round, I've chose to do it without AA, and I just wondered, the AA is, I call it the AA, I don't know why I do that.
Crazy.
AA, while you're doing the steps and you're in that program or what have you, I kind of think it deals with everything else that we go through on the journey of getting sober. So, as we spoke about the black hole, so I'm talking about moving our addictions onto whatever, sex, gambling, overspending,
Yes.
Whatever. Do you find that AA helps with that and keeps you all in check?
Yes. Well, it's great because you go in there and you can just listen to what everybody else share, and they all talk about that. It's not just drinking. It's we all say we got the disease of more. Like you can't.
I like that.
You take a little bit, you want more of it. Like I still do that with food once in a while. I go for my fourth slice of pizza every once in a while, which is terrible, but I do it, and I like ice cream. And I go get the second ice cream. It's like I just can't stop. It's like, but thank God it's ice cream and not alcohol. But
it's really funny you say that, because when I was there, and I didn't, obviously in hindsight's a wonderful thing, and now I understand what they were saying. But back then, I was getting annoyed with people, and even my sponsor, because I think I was 3 months sober, and the bad eating started, and a little bit of overspending, just little things. And as I was telling my sponsor this, it was like, yep, she knew this, and this is what you need to do. And that's where I went wrong, because I didn't want to listen. I was like, no, you're wrong. You just keep me sober. Don't worry about the rest of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like my sponsor was nice about it. He'd be like, all right, well, you're not drinking, but it's something to think about. That's kind of what he would say,
Yeah.
Maybe, I would say, just don't drink. It's kind of what he would say.
Yeah.
It's all right, but just don't drink. So.
Well, it is obviously, I think, the most important thing. I mean, for me, I can only speak for myself, but I had to get alcohol out of the way before I could start dealing with a lot of this other stuff. But in my journey, these cross addictions, and I've always known I had an addictive personality, but these cross addictions have popped up. It's one thing or it's another, and I have, as I've said, a history of eating disorders, which isn't considered an addiction, but it has addictive qualities to it. And that has popped up. You know, it's whatever it is, it's food, it's something. And I think I will always have that. It's a matter of keeping it, like you said, you know, in check. And I guess for me, it's just finding healthy habits, exercise, but keeping it at a level that's healthy, not overdoing it, and food, you know, healthy food, but not obsessing about it. And for me, it's a constant seesaw. I'm constantly trying to like not over weigh one side before the other side flips. You know, it's a constant, I don't want to say battle, but something I have to do.
It's just as Jeff said. It's just, isn't it? It's just as Jeff said. It's constant wanting more.
Yeah.
So even the good stuff, even your exercise and your fitness, you want more. To the extent where it's actually too much.
Yes.
But you don't kind of see that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I do it even when I know it. And I do get really excited about things. Like right now it's like yoga. I'm so excited. But now instead of like just taking a few yoga classes to see what it's like, I'm like, I want to buy every yoga book and I want to sign up to every class and I want to just like overload on it. And I have had to tell myself just in the last few days, like, okay, chill. Maybe this won't be the thing, you know, just, yeah.
Yes, I totally understand. You know, I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that meme.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just who you are, you know. And it's just like, just stay away from the things that are going to kill you. You know, yoga's not going to kill you. You know?
Well, the healthier option. I've got that. My favourite meme is that one where there's a pill that cures there's a pill that cures your addiction, and the meme underneath says, "Oh, I wonder what happens if I take two."
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Exactly. That's just us, isn't it? You know, completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that one.
Yeah, it's so true. So true.
Well, if he's curing my addiction, I'll just take them all right now.
Yeah, that would be
maybe that'll sit me for a year.
Yeah. So tell us a bit, Jeff, about the spiritual aspect of AA for you. Is that sort of a way that fills that hole now, that void?
Well, I never really. I was raised religious, but I never really took a hold of it. Never really liked it. But you know, in AA they had this whole spiritual side. You know, they call it the higher power and all this stuff. And you know, for me, it was kind of what I came to. My realization for me was, you know, that I guess it's step 2 where they say turn over everything to a higher power. You know, and you know, you kind of struggle with that at first if you're really kind of knee-jerking away from God. The idea of some a deity or something more powerful than you, all-knowing in the universe. But it really is how you kind of look at it. For me, it was just realizing that, you know, I'm just a person on this earth, just like everybody else, and that, you know, what I do is very minimal, and what goes on around me, I can't control any of it, and that the world doesn't revolve around me. I'm a working part of everything that's here, and you know, and it's, you know, I could either be a good part of it or a bad part of it. You know, I could either be somebody that's living their life the best way they could with what they've been given, or just, you know, trash it and live for myself and drink and kill myself and you know, not really care about the people that care about me or anything around me, and just be for myself. So it was kind of like the idea of not being a selfish person, and just you know, just being a good person. So, but the higher power is that you kind of do feel like there's something more powerful or greater than you. It doesn't have to be, you know, a God that you talk to. It's just like this thing that you feel that like is, I'm not in control. I'm not in control of the world. I am not in control of anything. I am just here, and that's it. I've been given, you know, 10 fingers and 10 toes and a beating heart, and that's all I got. And I just got to make the most of it, you know. So that's the way I look at it as spiritual, you know. And I in AA they kind of bring up, you know, prayers and things like that. And you know, the more you listen to them, they're nice. You know, a lot of times you think about religion, I think all it really comes down to is just, be nice to each other. I think that's all they really want you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get that kind of feel from AA, just be nice to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a shame.
Yeah,
I think it's a shame because luckily I've experienced all sides of sort of trying to give up and all different systems and stuff, and I think it might be an AA setting. When just take what you can from it, Now, I think it's a real shame for people who. I don't want to get into the ins and outs of AA and what's right, what's wrong, because there isn't a right and wrong to it. It's whatever that individual person needs.
Right.
But what I was going to say is I think it's a shame for people, because I've met quite a few people who are really struggling. They can't do it on the outside, not a chance. They've tried everything. And you'll say to them, what about the AA? And it's like, I don't believe in God and stuff. And
right.
it's just dismissed instantly. Now, I'm the most unreligious person you would meet. Now, I wanted to stop drinking that much. I just rocked up at that first meeting, and it was amazing. The most friendly people in the world, as you said earlier, Jeff, and they look after you and whatever. But when the God word come out, it wasn't this big massive thing that you have to get your head around, because it's all about stopping drinking. And
right.
this lady I befriended, she said, if the God word doesn't work for you, just change it to stand for group of drinkers and think of it that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As soon as you said that, it was like, boom, yeah, I can do that. And I just wish people, I'm not saying everyone should go AA method or whatever, you do what works for you, but I don't like people who dismiss it for a silly reason.
Well, I mean, that's not silly, that's a big thing. That's a major, human race fights war over the God, what we define God as. And it's like, we can't make up our minds. And it's like, that's kind of a bummer, if you ask me. Luckily I wanted to quit drinking enough where I just kind of ignored it and kept going to meetings, until I kind of got my own definition of what a higher power was or spirituality is for me. When I say prayer, I just say it's meditation. I say, and I take Christian prayers, I take the Sanskrit proverb, Buddhist prayers and all this stuff, and I just adopt them for my own. But and I said this before. It's like it's a shame that, because AA was created in 1930s and 40s. And if you read the big book, there's some things in there that are definitely, you read it and you're like, this is obviously outdated.
Well, isn't there a chapter that's
a woman,
there's a chapter for the wives, which is really kind of what Al-Anon came out of it, as if women never had a problem with alcohol. It's like
right, and Bill Wilson, man, he was like a womanizer.
Yeah.
I tell my wife's bickering at me for bringing a girlfriend home, right? Of course, it's like, duh. And so it's you kind of have to, I guess, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, like you say,
we're very
taking.
And I said it works kind of like government. Like, if you wanted to change something, it's like you got to lobby for it for years. And all these AA. I don't know who these people are, but there's like a committee somewhere. I don't know.
Committee of old men.
I've had that conversation many times with various people about it, and as you said, it may help future people if it was updated. But the argument against that is, well, it's worked for 70, 80, 90 years. Let's just leave it as it is, which, I can fully understand that as well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality.
Right, yeah. It's tough. I mean, that's why I go to meetings, though, because if that person walks in there and wants to walk out because of the God word, hopefully I can talk to them and be like, hey, you don't have to let that stop you.
Yeah.
And we want to help, you know what I mean? That's kind of like my thinking is, if I show up to that meeting and I can keep that guy person going to meetings and help him quit drinking, then
that's
something great in my mind.
I really like that.
I
was just gonna say, my experience with the higher power thing. I mean, I was in AA for 3 years and I struggled with that part of it. But this time around, getting sober, I really resisted. I mean, as much as I was drinking a bottle of vodka a day, I needed to get sober. I knew it was killing me. I wanted sobriety. I was going to find it in any way other than AA. That was like, I just had this
Right.
resistance to it. And for me, it wasn't so much the higher power thing, because I consider myself to be spiritual and I read lots of books, and like I'm open-minded to that. For me, it was the powerless part. It was the first step that
Right.
I still struggle with that. But what I've sort of come to understand about myself, and in regards to the higher power thing, is if I were to, I'm not in AA, but if I were, I would describe my higher power as being the higher side of myself, like maybe a part of my brain or my consciousness that's higher than, the part that was the ego, or the part that was, drinking and drugging and all these years. It's that higher part of myself that I sort of pushed away for so long, that helped me, that I sort of finally came in contact with, and that got me sober. So for me, that works. Instead of thinking of it as a entity outside of myself that helped me, it was more, I finally got, I finally reached that higher side of myself. And so,
Right.
yeah, like you say, whatever works for you, whatever.
It's just sorry, Steph, but I just want to jump in. It's
No.
just an excuse for me, for someone who says, "Oh, it's God," or "I don't believe in the higher power." If you can't do it outside, then you've got to do something.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And if AA is the last resort in that person's mind, then tough, get into it and get, because
Yeah.
you can guarantee they'll change their mind. Once they're sober, they'll understand why it was so important.
Yeah.
Now, and Steph, you brought up the word power, like the powerless part, right?
Yeah.
People struggle with that, It's like people want some credit for giving up drinking. I think, like I did it,
Yeah.
But I can understand that too. I've pat myself on the back. I'm happy where I am right now. And yeah, it's kind of weird, like powerless. But it's to me, I kind of get it. For me, it works, because that's why I'm okay with saying I am an alcoholic. My name is Jeff. I'm an alcoholic, and that knowing I think the word powerless is, this is a substance that will control your life if you let it. You know what I mean? Like that. If you drink again, I think that's why they say it's powerless. If you drink again, you're going to go back to where you started, and then we need to remind you of that. And I think that's why they say that, personally. But and then also I have to constantly remind myself that I couldn't do this on my own. That's why I ended up in AA. I couldn't quit drinking. I couldn't white knuckle it on my own, and I needed the help and support of an entire community of people to help me stop drinking. And that's, when I look at it that way, I'm like, yeah, I am powerless over this stuff. It will run my life if I let it do that. If I drink again, if I put that stuff down, it'll run everything. So that's, I'm okay with that. And I understand how some people are just like, I don't want to say that I'm powerless to alcohol. I can control everything. Like I can control what's going on with me, and I think a lot of AA is about, you can't really control everything about yourself. You are who you are, but you can't. Sometimes you can't. You can't handle everything. You're not superhuman. But that's the way I look at it. So, and I understand people going in there. I don't like the word powerless, and I don't like the word God or higher power. And I understand all of that. Sometimes I was like, well, just to keep it soft for beginners, can't they just pull those couple words out of there? But like I said, or just reword it. I always say this. Language is kind of up to personal interpretation.
Yeah.
My definition of a glass to someone else, whatever it may be, is different. So,
Yeah.
But
So I forgot to say congratulations on 1.5 years sobriety.
Yeah, I think. Hold on.
That's awesome.
Well, you said the 16th
What
of
do we got?
October, so that's very close to our date
I got it right
in the month.
585 days.
Wow.
There you go. I saved $5,854.
Wow. Fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the e-cigarettes, 311 days, and I saved $779 from that.
Wow.
So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
you know,
Incredible.
yeah. Thank God. So, yeah, I'm super. I never been in a better place in my life right now. I'm
Great.
just in a good spot. Yeah, and I never want to drink. I never ever want to drink again.
No.
No, I just can't do it. And I'm so much happier. I went through so many years of misery and self-loathing and not liking myself. To now actually kind of like having an awakening, and actually I feel like I'm living life, as they say, the way it should be lived.
Yeah.
Grateful and I'm happy and I take things as they come and I can handle issues as they come and keep a cool head and be nice to people. You don't have to be right all the time. Just be nice. Stuff like that. So. Yeah, people around me like me a lot more too, which is kind of nice.
You've just answered my last question was going to be how has your life changed, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, now I have my son, and just looking at him, I'm so glad I'm not drinking right now, and I don't ever want him to see me drunk, and I'm hopefully I can keep up with that, and hopefully that helps him with his life. And it's just a huge, like I can't believe everything that's happened and how things have changed. It's just amazing. So, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Jeff. I really, really enjoyed that. It was excellent.
I did too.
Really
I had some light bulb moments, and I'll talk about those later. But
really, okay,
yeah,
great. Yeah, I'm
really
glad.
did.
I hope it helps a lot of people.
It will.
I love hearing other people's stories too. So.
Yeah, there's no better medicine than that, is there? Listening to somebody else, it's a fantastic thing. You got anything else, Steph?
No, that was it, really. Thank you so much, Jeff, for taking the time to talk with Glenn and I. We really appreciate it, and this will definitely help people. So thank you.
Anytime. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you again.
Thank
See you later.
Bye-bye.